Greetings, one and all.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Actually, don't welcome everybody just yet.
Then why did you say it?
Because I forgot that I didn't do anything. Or I didn't do a certain thing. There we go.
Okay.
Greetings, everybody.
Hopefully you
Happy
can all
Monday.
hear us.
Yes. Well, they should be able to hear us now.
Oh, okay.
Instead of hearing all the music. That, it's just something that I put in there so that people can enjoy it. Really quick, unpause the game and walk around. I want to make sure that... Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Repause it. I just want to make sure I saw levels for it. Okay. So, happy Monday, everybody. It's been a couple of weeks since you've been out. I can't do what I was gonna do because It's been a couple of weeks since you came to see us streaming, and we're sorry. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody. In case you missed us yesterday, we actually were streaming some Elden Ring. And tonight we're going to resume the Road to Hogwarts Legacy because Andrea must play some Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't scratch that itch, I'm afraid of what might happen.
Yep.
The universe itself might implode. I'm just saying. So at that point, hopefully everybody is having a good day. Andrea, are you having a good day?
Oh, yeah, I'm having a good day.
You're about to have a great one to wrap up because you're going to be able to play some freaking Harry Potter. So you're going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
So at that point, without further ado, should we just go ahead and get things started?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's do it. So there you go. And so in case people don't see this, Andrea, could you hold the controller up? She's playing, not me. See? No hands. Or no controller.
No hands.
So, yeah, no hands doesn't really work here. No controller. So at that point, Andrea's been playing this game because sometimes Drak likes to have a break.
Puffer pod patch.
Yeah.
Good fun to throw around. Hagrid.
Oh, good. All right. Well, PS1 Hagrid is giving us some sage advice right there. Yeah, Andrea, as we said yesterday, we missed doing this. Mm-hmm. But if you were not with us last night, the reason that we have not been able to stream for the last couple of weeks is I got really busy with my job, Andrea got really busy with her job, and now things have kind of lightened up at least a little bit before Christmas. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've all been super busy.
Yeah. So that's why you are seeing us now, as opposed to the last couple of weeks. I have been working 50 hours a week. So for those who don't know my work schedule, that's 10 hours a day. So 5 days a week. I have not been able to stream on any of those days. And most of the time coming home at the latest 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, a stream was not going to work. But thankfully, we're back. We never, like, for those who thought we were just giving up, no. Because this isn't necessarily a professional thing for us. This is a fun thing. So, and actually, I just barely realized, wow, the Steam Deck actually does kind of buff up the resolution of this, doesn't it? It's colorful.
It's pretty.
It's pretty. It's pretty with all them polygons.
Man, imagine playing some of the earlier Tomb Raiders on this and see.
I think it would work, but we wouldn't need to because I think a lot of those have been put up on Steam anyway. So
on Steam?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I mean, I might be wrong, but and the other thing that this actually allows us to do is that while Andrea is playing the game, I can actually talk to you guys, which I don't get that much opportunity to do it because I'm playing the game. So now I can do a little bit of catch up for all of the things that we missed. And we weren't able to talk about and show our outrage and all that. But here's the truth. I haven't been paying attention to Jack. Because usually when I'm out working, I'm not paying attention to the news. I'm listening to a podcast or music, and I am trying to get done with my shift as quickly as I can. So, yeah, we missed quite a number of things. Elon Musk decided to open up the Twitter vault and has been pissing off a lot of people.
Right and left.
Mostly left.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Because, believe it or not, Andrea, Twitter actually does have rules. And unlike the last few years, where they haven't really been enforcing them, Elon actually is.
Leviosa.
And so a lot of leftist and journalist accounts have been getting suspended for violating actual rules. As opposed to what's been happening in the last couple of years, where a conservative news outlet does something, they claim that they broke rules, and then just sit there and say, you can't get your account back. So that's been interesting.
Wingardium Leviosa.
One thing that a number of people have let me know about, but I have not been able to look into this controversy at all, is
Wingardium Leviosa.
apparently in the new Mario trailer that came out recently, they unveiled Peach. And they I don't know this because we haven't seen it, but apparently Peach is a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. And the people who want strong, independent women who don't need no man are pissed off that she's like that.
Really?
Yes. That's what I've heard so far. They are pissed off that she is strong, independent, and don't need no man. And yeah, I don't know why. I literally don't. This is one of the... Whoa, geez. Well, there's just a brain in the middle of nowhere.
That's the sloth brain.
That is the sloth brain, but why is there no sloth there? That could just be a random brain. Maybe that's why Neville Longbottom keeps forgetting things. That's his brain.
Yep.
That's why he keeps forgetting shit. Come on. I'm putting it all together for you people. So that happened. We also had the Game Awards where Elden Ring, despite the fact that the gaming industry probably wanted
Harry,
God of War Ragnarok to win.
Dungeons, your friend, Hermione.
Even though that's what the
Right,
gaming
you found
journalists
the soft
wanted,
Let's go back to Hogwarts.
Elden Ring won Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
But I will still at least give some props because for the first time ever,
The race for
a
House of
Xeno game
Dragons.
made the Game of the Year nominees list.
Yeah.
And being a adamant
Ravenclaw.
Xeno fan, major props to Tetsuya Takahashi. You finally did it, man. You're finally getting acknowledged for your great writing.
Slytherin. Gryffindor.
Oh, and actually, speaking of Tomb Raider, that's actually one of the first things that we get to look forward to in 2023.
Really?
Is Crystal Dynamics has been working on a Tomb Raider game.
Oh.
And they are going to... I think they said they were going to unveil it in January or February. So at that point, we can get to see it because Crystal Dynamics... To bring Andrea up to speed, Crystal Dynamics is no longer part of Square Enix.
Really?
No, Square Enix has been... Because of the debacle that was Avengers, Square Enix had to sell... or to sell off Crystal Dynamics to make back some of the money they lost. And we're talking like upwards of $1 billion. They lost upwards of $1 billion on Avengers. Because they really expected that people would be playing it like an MMO and nobody did. So, so Crystal Dynamics, I can't remember who brought who was going to publish for them now, but they've already been working on a number of properties, and one of them is a new Tomb Raider. the vague hinting that they've been saying is, I'm not sure if it's going to be the Square Enix Lara. I don't know if they can do that. I think her story is done. It might be the return of the Lara that a lot of Tomb Raider fans have been wanting. The confident Lara. And so at that point, that might be interesting, being able to see like modern game mechanics with that Lara Croft. Because they have the rights to that Lara Croft. I don't know if they have the rights to the trilogy one. The rebooted one. That might still belong to Square Enix. But one thing I've actually been very excited about is that apparently they've been working on a prototype for a new Legacy of Kain game, and I want to see that unveiled, but we're gonna get Tomb Raider before that. Yeah, and speaking of Avengers, that game. Not even the Wakanda expansion has saved it. It's still continuing to lose money, so much so that the way that DLC works for Avengers, in case you don't know, Andrea, is that characters are basically the DLC for it. So, for example, the first one that they gave was Ant-Man. Then they did Hawkeye. And also, oh crap, I can't remember her name, but she's like the girl Hawkeye. That was introduced in the Disney Plus series. Then
Isn't it just Hawk Girl or something?
No. I can't remember her. She goes by her actual name. And I can't remember what it is. No, because Hawk Girl is DC.
Oh.
You can't do Hawk Girl. Yes, copyright is a thing, Andrea. I'm sorry.
Well, I know that, but well, you were saying.
And then in the Wakanda expansion, they gave Black Panther, obviously.
Well, I didn't think there was a female Hawk.
Apparently, in the modern comics, Hawkeye has trained somebody to replace him, and it is a young girl. And basically, the MCU was already teasing that the oldest girl at Hawkeye's house was being taught to be like Hawkeye. Because she's one, like, remember how Hawkeye lost his family?
Yeah.
In the whole snap? Well, she was one of them. So, and apparently
didn't her name start with an A?
I can't remember.
Or
I literally can't remember.
Well, I'm surprised you're not looking it up then.
I'm not looking it up because I don't need to, because
well,
it's based on a Disney Plus series that failed. So,
okay.
At that point, that DLC failed, and the most recent one that they were working on was She-Hulk DLC, in honor of the series that just basically came out and got canceled and is reviled and got poor review scores across the board. And so Square Enix has decided they're going to cancel the She-Hulk DLC.
He'll think we're the ones who stole it.
Because it was based on the Disney Plus She-Hulk. And so at that point, nobody likes that She-Hulk. Apparently, that She-Hulk is very condescending. And also a bit of a whore. So.
Then again, maybe I'll just wait here. Snape gives me the willies.
I didn't see it, but I've heard enough.
Potter has found the sloth brain. Was it clever hunting or a thief's guilty conscience? So where was it, Potter? Within your own head?
Why, yes.
Bring it to class.
How did you know? It's my brain. How is it your brain, Potter? You don't know.
I don't believe it.
We live in a world of magic. I could have popped my own brain out and said it was a sloth brain. I'm just saying, man.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Let's go turn this beam then.
Yeah, lots of big stories. We talked about Death Stranding 2 being announced. And also that there was a Death Stranding movie in the works. Being directed by Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima finally gets to live the dream. He was a film student who went into gaming, or into game development, And now he actually gets to make a film. It only took him
So
10 plus games and leaving Konami and founding his own studio to do it.
Draconis.
Sorry, you were asking something?
No, I'm just saying. I bet everyone will be excited to see this.
The Kojima fans are somewhat excited.
Thanks for the earwax flavor.
One thing I've kind of noticed is the Kojima fans are kind of divided
Hope you find
on
the
Death
portrait.
Stranding.
It'll be worth it.
Some of them
See you
like
around.
it. 60% of them probably don't. Or they're indifferent. They're like, oh, well, that was a thing. But, you know, Kojima has stepped out of Metal Gear a few times. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just another one of those stepping out projects. But now that... I mean, me and Romney thought that Death Stranding was just going to be a one-off. It was just going to be Kojima getting this out of his system, and then he would come up with something a little bit more regular. Turns out Death Stranding is that.
Yeah, and we're still all like, we don't even get what the heck is going on, but it was so...
But then again, there are a few things in Metal Gear that aren't properly explained, so...
Maybe it was just left open that way for people to use their imagination.
For which one? Metal Gear or Death Stranding?
Both.
Because Death Stranding leaves a lot for imagination.
'Cause then you
There's
can-
only some minor details in Metal Gear.
Fizzy pop.
Well done, young
By Metal Gear Solid 4, he
Let's see if I can get these
he
old
cleared up a
fingers
lot of
working.
those little breadcrumbs.
It's like, well, then this opens up for fan fiction.
Yeah.
You can go to...
Well, yep, that's happening. So we can look forward to that very soon. And, 2023 is upon us, and we just barely got a bunch of announcements of release dates for games that we are looking forward to in those. Unfortunately, Death Stranding 2 is not one of them. I think they said that Death Stranding 2 is, fall 2024? So...
Well, that will give us plenty of time to prepare to play the director's cut.
Well, what I'm more worried about is, for example, one of the games that did get announced was a release date for Spider-Man 2. And that means we need to get back to Insomniac Spider-Man and Miles Morales so that we can get to Spider-Man 2. And that's next year. Obviously, we've got Hogwarts Legacy, which did get announced. And we have a February release date for. I'm trying to remember all the ones. Final Fantasy 16 got a June release date. So we have that next year. Which is a much better turnaround, people. 6 years as opposed to 12. Yeah, 12 years for 15. 12 years and a console generation before we got 15 in our hands. And now, because I want to say it came out... Actually, no, it came out in 2016, I think. And so at that point, 2022, so that'd be... Yeah. Presuming that they were working on it up until that point. We're talking like a 5-6 year development cycle. Way better than 12. Or in the case of Kingdom Hearts 14.
Don't be late. Snape's a royal pain. He's always looking for an excuse to take house points away from Gryffindor. We need green every flavor
He
beans. for our
does
next
actually look for
experiment.
reasons to take
You
away
know, the
points from
Trollbogey
Gryffindor.
ones. Bring us the beans, and we'll give you the password for the portrait.
I'm forgetting all the big games that did get release dates. Oh, and they actually did announce a couple of big ones for me. Hades 2 is happening. Diablo 4 will be in June. I don't know if I'm going to get it right away. Because I don't know if I trust it. Let's see. What do we have so far? Fire Emblem Engage. So we got that. This will catch your fancy. The Wonder Boy Anniversary Collection is coming out January 26th.
Oh, really?
Let's see what that actually entails.
At last, Harry. I have an idea where the stolen
that didn't
object
help.
from Gringotts may be. But we'll have to attend Potions class first.
I'll have to
Come
look
on,
it up
Harry.
later.
We don't want to
I'm
keep
guessing
you
all of the
waiting.
Wonder Boy games all in one game. Hogwarts Legacy in February. Ooh, the EA Monster Hunter is in February, and I would like to try that out just to see what it's like. Let's see. Oh, the Horizon DLC is coming out next year, so we got to get to that. Octopath Traveler 2, I'm very happy about that, personally.
Now pay attention.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty will be next March. I will be very interested in playing that. We are now getting a Bayonetta Origins, so now we have a prequel Bayonetta.
If you manage to fill your cauldron, which I doubt, you'll be able to activate the cauldron to retrieve the potion. Your turn, Potter.
Oh, Jedi Survivor
Oh, yeah?
is coming out March 17th, so we need to figure out some time to play Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah.
Because we still haven't finished it. I think this is the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is March 24th. So that'll be interesting for you. Let's see. Nothing major in April. Tears of the Kingdom in May.
Good enough.
So we'll have a Zelda game.
Would expect better.
Street Fighter 6 in June, Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4,
Adjoining room.
Hogwarts Legacy for Switch will be coming out in July. So they're not going to get it right away, and that's pretty much the big ones. So we'll have plenty to get into. And also, like I said, Spider-Man 2 will be, I think that was fall 2023. Yeah, I think it's fall, and it doesn't have an exact release date yet. So you know what that means, Andrea. Lots of roads. We got to get through this, and we got to get through it quick because we got other shit to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And also the fact that Final Fantasy VII Reunion is at the holidays of next year. And we still need to get to Crisis Core. What I'm saying is that we be busy.
Yep.
And we got to make sure that we get to as much of this stuff as possible because we are equally excited for a lot of these games. We want to play them. Oh, and the Dead Space remake is in March. I forgot about that. Wow, we will have the Dead Space remake and the Resident Evil 4 remake in that month. March is going to be horror for us. It's going to be nasty, is what I'm saying, Andrea. It's going to be nasty.
Harry, it's me, Raymond. Can you see my kitten? I hear her down there meowing.
I think that's the exact same voice actor as Ron. Recycling voice actors.
Oh, yes. I hear that. I think they're getting close to the prototype testing for Missing Link.
Missing Link. Why does that sound familiar?
It's Kingdom Hearts Missing Link.
Oh, is that the mobile game?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you signed up for the beta?
I don't think I can.
You now have a smartphone that could probably play it.
Well, yeah, but I don't think. Oh, I don't think. Well, if mine's an Android, they're not doing it on Android right now.
So it's just going to be an Apple test.
Or was it iPhone?
iOS, yeah.
iOS.
Apple.
Yeah.
I see how it is, Square Enix.
I know.
Apple fans.
Apple racists.
Well, phonists. Phonists. You're not wrong. Oh, and the one, you know what? I kind of hope that we see RPX in the next little bit, because one big announcement that I think he was looking forward to at the Game Awards was Armored Core 6. So, Armored Core is actually an early From Software IP.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of people suspected that From was done with any of their previous IPs until,
Hello,
after Dark Souls.
hello, Rising Sun.
Hey, Rising Sun. Yes, I am back, as well as Andrea. Yeah, a lot of people thought after Dark Souls, or after the Souls games, that From Software was never going to pick up any of their old IPs, and they just proved you wrong. Because Armored Core 6 is coming, and from what I've been told, because Sekiro was actually, it started as a Tenchu, like a Tenchu game. They have been working on a Tenchu game, and that actually makes me very happy. And Couch-kun is back too. Couch-kun never leaves. In fact, Couch-kun's probably very mad at me because it's very cold. Because I have the audacity to leave the window open so that it cools down this office. And so Couch-kun has to basically deal with that. Much like if you have to do that with Light-chan.
His couch.
Poor Couch-kun. Well, maybe it likes the cold. You don't know.
Well, because Drak doesn't sit on Couch-kun to keep it warm.
If I sit on Couch-kun... this couch is so comfortable, if I sit on it, I will probably fall asleep. And so at that point, I can't do it. Because then I'll probably take a nap, and then Andrea will be mad with me. Why are you taking a nap when I can't? All I know is that when Light-chan gets mad, he knocks... or she knocks out my power. Yeah. We already know that. We learned that the hard way. Oh, and the other big news that I was actually very excited to see, the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters are going to be launching on PS4 and Switch next year. And I've been watching a lot of those Pixel remasters on YouTube. I want to mess around with them when we get to those numbers.
For what?
So you know what the Pixel remasters are, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So it's Final Fantasies 1 through 6.
Uh-huh.
The ones that were sprite-based.
Yeah.
Are all remade. Or not remade, but remastered. But given a lot of, like, modern sensibilities when it comes to RPGs.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, for example, being able to raise and lower the encounter rate. Being able to... being able to raise and lower the encounter rate, being able to have modern menus, being able to showcase stats and things like that a lot easier. Updated sprites. In fact, a lot of the sprites in those games have been redone to more match the originals.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, we didn't get the original 2 and 3 here. We got bypassed on those because those were both NES.
Yeah.
And instead, our Final Fantasy 2 was Final Fantasy 4. But when they got remade in a whole new art style. Mm-hmm. To be able to make them look like brand new games. And the Pixel Remaster basically went back to the drawing board and made them more original. I've been enjoying the hell out of those. And when, right now we're doing the Final Fantasy games, right? But we're going backwards.
Yeah.
When we get to 6, like right now the way that I'm working this out is if there's remakes or remasterings, we're gonna play them. So Final Fantasy IX remastered, Final Fantasy X remastered, Final Fantasy VIII remastered, Final Fantasy VII remake, and then I also want to do 1 through 6 pixel remaster because those look really good. And I want to mess around with them even more. So now I have an excuse to do that. And actually, speaking of sequels, so I got to address something really quick. Because people might remember earlier this year, I said that this December, we were going to be doing sequels. We were basically like we did last year, where we tried out a bunch of recommended games. This year, we were going to do something where we checked out some sequels of games that we had beaten. Mm-hmm. But then shit hit the fan, and we had to go work. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to move that concept to January, and probably even bleed it into February, too. I've already procured some of those games. So, yeah, we're planning on doing that in January. Because I don't know when Nier is going to be up to speed, because we're naughty little boys and girls. And from here on, we will be using a PS3 emulator to play Nier. And I've been working on it to bring it up to speed. In fact, today was very frustrating because I went and did all the fishing quests all together. That was very frustrating. Having to do the 10 sardines again.
Oh, did you miss all that?
No! Should have just dropped it hard.
And have the troll come at me?
I would have left you alone.
Are you sure?
What, are you Metal Gear Harry? Is that what you're telling me? Does Harry look like Solid Snake to you? Well, you wouldn't know what Solid Snake looks like, so I guess I can't ask that.
Solid Snake is... Well, haven't we seen pictures of him?
No.
How would we know?
Well, you've seen Metal Gear. Well, technically you have, because you've played Smash.
Yeah.
And so that's the modern reimagining. But in Metal Gear 1 and 2, because he was a sprite, his design was always based off of celebrities.
Uh-huh.
Well, in Metal Gear Solid, when it came back for the PlayStation, they couldn't do that. So they actually reimagined Snake in his modern form so that he had his own look.
Mm-hmm.
And you will get to see that once we get there. Because that will actually be one of the sequels we will be starting. Is Metal Gear Solid, and we're going to play, because Andrea has made it clear that she's okay with doing this, we will be playing it original PS1 style.
Oh, yeah?
Because technically there is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 called The Twin Snakes that was made for GameCube that redid Metal Gear Solid in the Metal Gear Solid 2 engine. So it would be a much more modern, up-to-date one. But you've already said you don't care. So we're going to play it. So a lot of people are actually happy we will be playing Metal Gear Solid in its original PlayStation form. Oh, the polygons.
We all love the polygons.
A lot of people love the polygons.
You can't get enough of the polygons.
Well, and also a lot of people love the original voice actors, and unfortunately some of them didn't return in Solid 2. So we had to get used to new actors.
So soon. Give me those fireflies.
Snape is just so angry. He needs to go to an anger management class, is all I'm
Leave
saying.
me in peace, Potter. Your defense against the dark arts class with Professor Quirrell is about to start, and you're already late.
Well, why did you make me late? That's on you, dude. That's not on us. No, you had to go and get my fireflies. Oh, cool. Then you can write a letter to Professor Quirrell saying that that's what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. He hates Harry. Never mind. In case people don't know this, Snape hates Harry. Snape, in fact, has the biggest hate boner for Harry. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Oh, yes.
All the Zelda platforming. And also, we did see the most... So some people wanted to ask if we had seen the most recent stuff for Hogwarts Legacy. We have. I just barely today showed Andrea the Room of Requirement, which is basically just player housing. So you can look forward to that, Andrea. Oh, and I will say one other game I'm looking forward to that was announced at the Game Awards, but I don't think we have a release date for it yet, is Hellboy. You remember Hellboy, right?
Yes.
That's getting a game.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's based on, like, comics Hellboy, so I'll be very interested in how that goes. And I don't think it's going to be Ron Perlman that voices him, but that's totally fine.
Uh-huh.
That's totally fine, because Ron Perlman's been making an ass of himself, so... Totally fine. Oh, and of course, I get the big one that I know a lot of people wanted to know if we'd seen was the Jennifer Lawrence comments. Yeah, those didn't sit very well, did they? So, in case you guys don't know this, Jennifer Lawrence is apparently the first ever female action hero. There were never any female action heroes before Jennifer Lawrence and Katniss Everdeen. Even though she completely forgets her own history and she was Mystique. She was Mystique before she was Katniss. But she's not an action hero, I guess. She's a female villain.
She's a female.
First ever, of course. Yes, welcome, Bobby. And I just barely saw your comment on the Elden Ring stream. We are doing okay. We have just been very busy with all the crap that we've had to do in the last couple of weeks. So yes, she was the first ever. So completely disregard Sigourney Weaver and Ellen Ripley. Completely disregard Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. Completely disregard... I'm trying to think of all of the female action heroes that have... Completely disregard Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow.
Forget them
because no female action hero existed before Katniss Everdeen.
It's like they never...
Kate Beckinsale in Underworld. That didn't happen. Keira Knightley in Pirates. That didn't happen. And what made it even worse is I've actually seen... So, after she said this...
Defense against...
She actually... So, she went on to a podcast or something like that where she had a bunch of female actresses... A bunch of actresses, one of which was Sigourney Weaver, who I would actually debate might be the first female action hero as Ellen Ripley. I might be wrong about that, and I'm willing to admit if I am.
Keep trying.
But Sigourney actually went on this podcast and was just like,
Excellent.
I'm so glad that you came out and said that. That was so inspiring to me. I'm like, what the fuck, woman?
Perfect.
You were an action hero before she was.
Please, it's going to get difficult.
You weren't just the chick who was in Ghostbusters.
That was good.
Sigourney Weaver. You had a career. before all that. And now you're acknowledging that your career didn't exist.
Watch out for this one.
This is as stupid as your feminist comments after Ghostbusters fucking 2016.
That was good. Excellent. Perfect.
And look, up until this point, I was indifferent
You may now
to
enter
Jennifer
chamber
Lawrence
1 at a
because
time.
she actually is a good actress, in my opinion. She can pull it off. Despite
Now, Harry,
the fact
let's
that
see how you
Katniss
defend
wasn't as
yourself
accurate
against the dark arts.
to the books as she could have been.
Cast your Verdimilia spell toward the darkness.
But
Observe
Katniss
how
hid
the
in a tree
Verdimilia
and didn't
spell
kill people
flares,
from poor
forcing
districts,
back
like a
the
real hero.
darkness, lighting the path across. Follow the path quickly, as your spell will hold off the darkness.
Actually,
for
what's
a
really
brief time. Good luck, young
what's really sad is how much they had to tone down that character for the books to make her appear heroic. Because so I read the books to prep for a radio drama, and I could tell you the Katniss Everdeen in those books is way more selfish than the hero portrayed in the movies. And would you not agree? Mm-hmm. She's way more selfish in the books. But no, we have to portray her as a freaking hero.
Points to Griffin.
Oh, and also, she has to look pretty, so we can't have explosions, I don't know, burn half of her body. Again, adaptation. You have to be as close to the source material
Harry,
as
I've been
possible.
waiting for
Oh
ages.
God, Hermione,
Do you
please
know
step
that
back.
Dumbledore said that the upper castle is out of bounds
I could
for all
almost see
students?
the tiny polygons that make up your polygonal face!
You look like an old lady,
Good
Hermione.
luck, Harry.
She actually does look like Molly Weasley. Like the actress who played Molly Weasley. She does actually look like that.
Can't have that.
Besides, we all know that it's Jennifer Lawrence who deserves the close-up. Jiminy Christmas. Hollywood actors and actresses, you are so fucking full of yourselves that you have literally made the South Park joke true. You do actually sniff your own farts. Hermione and Ron had some serious divergence from the books to the movies as well. Yes, they did. I remember a lot of Hermione's, but I can't remember a lot of Ron's divergence from the movies to the book, from the books to the movies. I want to say that Ron was portrayed as more courageous in the books than he was in the movies. Because he became so cowardly in the movies that eventually he just kind of became a
Comic relief.
comic relief character. And that got kind of annoying. I would actually say what they did with Hermione was a saving grace, because Hermione as an activist was not fun to read through. The director said Hermione was his favorite, so he took Ron's moments and gave them to her. Yeah, he did. Well, which one are we talking about? Because Chris Columbus, like, he adapted a little bit better than, what's his name? Heyman? David Heyman?
Yeah, something like that.
So, at that point, no, that makes sense. But still, I'm sticking to my guns here. Jennifer Lawrence, you're full of yourself. Stop sniffing your own goddamn farts. Seriously, there is a joke in South Park about that.
I'm sure.
Where Kyle's family moves to San Francisco, and everybody in San Francisco, like, they'll make a big fart, and then they'll be like, so they'll be talking, and then they'll fart, and they'll be like, excuse me 1 second. And, like, literally go down, like, bend down to their butthole and sniff it.
Oh my goodness.
That is Hollywood right now. Oh, hi. It looks like we've got some spam in the chat. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and take care of you. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, but we don't like spam.
We don't like spam, especially since it looks like it was from a porn site. Like in The Devil's Snare, Ron is the one who is calm and tells them to use Lumos. In the movie, he just panics. Yeah, is he the one that actually... Yeah, Hermione panics in the book, because that's how she... in her panic, she figures out what the answer is.
Well, in the book, she was like, well, we don't have any firewood. And Ron's like, well, are you a witch or not?
Yeah. Well, they in the movie's defense, they did give Ron the one big noble moment, which is that he got to sacrifice himself in the chess match. They gave him that, but that was it. Now, just imagine if Jennifer Lawrence was Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
We probably would have gotten activist Hermione.
Shall I reset the cauldrons for you, Harry?
Oh, yeah. What was her organization for house elves?
Spew.
Spew, that's right. Which is basically supposed to be like PETA. PETA for house elves. That's what it was. That did make me laugh, lol. He fell 6 feet off the horse and passed out. Yeah. He didn't die. Because you can't have kids die in movies. We all learned that from Disney. Speaking of which, Disney, oh boy, they are not in a good situation right now, are they? Especially since, bad news, Andrea, Avatar 2 tanked. And it tanked hard.
And we haven't even seen it.
We haven't even seen it yet, and I'm glad we haven't spent money on it. Because I haven't even seen Avatar 1 all the way through. Yeah, it's been tanking so bad for Disney that Bob Paycheck lost his job to Bob Iger. They brought Bob Iger back to be CEO in order to stop the stock from crashing. Guess what, boys and girls? It didn't stop it.
Shall I reset the cauldrons for you, Harry?
Every movie, every series that has come out, there must always be a Bob, yes. I do find that funny. See, it actually should have been like there must always be an Eisner, because like the Eisner family is still involved with Disney. And you know what? I don't necessarily like Michael Eisner, but I would probably take him back right now, as opposed to what we have right now. No, we're talking tons of failures, Andrea. They had Wakanda Forever this year. They had She-Hulk. They had Buzz Lightyear. I think it's called Strange Worlds, which was basically, I don't know, a gay superhero family or something like that. All of them failed. All of them bombed at the box office. They're taking the stocks to Isengard, to Isengard. Except we can't say to Isengard because Amazon also tanked Rings of Power, so... Oh, and that was actually a good response, too. So Rings of Power flopped, too.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Well, that makes sense.
And we're talking a tens of $1 billion debacle when it came to Rings of Power. So what was the staff of Rings of Power's response to that? Oh, you guys don't like it? Well, we'll just fire all the male directors.
Really?
That's literally what they did. They fired all of the male directors of the episodes of Rings of Power. I'm pretty sure all the male writers. So now it's all female.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just a bunch of women who are sniffing their own farts. Because that'll fix it, right? That's what everybody wanted? Those males are the problem. Obviously. Not the fact that you didn't go, you're Amazon, for crying out loud. You couldn't go and secure the rights to Lord of the Rings. And you couldn't hire people that would have made something worthwhile. Hell, they approached Peter Jackson to make episodes of this series, Andrea. And his answer was, not touching that with a 10-foot pole. That was literally his answer. He's like, I'm going to sit this one out. That wasn't your first clue? Oh, yeah, and the world's most leading Tolkien scholar, they fired. Because he was disagreeing with all of the narrative choices that they were making.
Well done, Harry.
And they hired, to replace him, a Tolkien scholar who we found out months later never read a single Lord of the Rings book. Never read any of Tolkien's work. Didn't really know much about Tolkien. But hey, she knew about things like Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey.
It's like, why can't they just freaking wise up and...
I've debated on whether or not to make a video series about this, but basically interjecting my opinion as to why a lot of these projects are failing. And there's a number of reasons as to why. And part of it is because, I'll just be honest, it's petty jealousy. These feminists, these activists are so pissed off that their original works are not as revered as something like Lord of the Rings. So instead of going through the motions that people like Stan Lee did before them, of continuing to hone their craft and continuing to work on the character and make it more relatable, etc., no. Instead, they take a popular character and warp it into what they want. And then, strangely enough, it wrecks the character and they lose customers. That horse scene still makes me laugh. What horse scene? I haven't seen 50 Shades, so... And if that's Rings of Power, I haven't seen that either.
Unless he's talking about the Harry Potter with the... I don't know.
Could be. I don't know, Bobby.
You're going to have to clarify on the horse.
Sorry, I've been off on a rant. So... Galadriel on the beach. Yeah.
Well,
There's so many things wrong with that series. And Galadriel is one of them.
Galadriel?
She is literally written to be masculine. I shit you not. She is written to be masculine. So, like, you know Galadriel.
Yeah.
Both from the movies and you've read the books, right? Mm-hmm. So you know Galadriel.
Yeah.
Was she super aggressive?
No.
In any of those? Was she out fighting the war, like, in those?
No. Not really, at all.
Use your knockback jinx to push the cauldrons onto the heat.
That's Rings of Power Galadriel. She has to be an action hero. She's very easy to annoy. I especially love that, I'm pretty sure that the only direction the actress ever got was to be angry. Because anytime anybody says anything to her, she just basically has the look of like, how dare you speak to me in this manner? Wakanda Forever has been #1 in the box office for the past 5 weeks. I don't think it was a flop. Recently in there? Is it recently in there, Pretty Usagi? It wasn't there its opening weekend. Financially, you can consider it to be somewhat successful. But here's the problem with that, Pretty Usagi. It's not bringing in the numbers that they promised their shareholders that it would be. So, if it's been doing well recently, good for it. It hadn't been doing well in the first 4 weeks it came out. Which was when it was going to be relevant and when it was going to earn the most money. And how do these movies also earn money, Pretty Usagi? They earn it through return viewership. I can already tell you, just from watching the numbers when it was coming out, first week, it earned what it did. Second week, it earned slightly less. And then third week, it was Batman v Superman all over again. It was 72% down, which means no repeat viewership. It was number one for 5 weeks in a row. Not since its release, Pretty Usagi. You're looking up the wrong information. I know for a fact that other movies were kicking its ass. And one of them came out a week after. And again, I'm sticking to my point. Its return viewership has been crap. Much like previous Star Wars movies. Much like most of Phase 4. Well, right now it's competing with Tickets to Paradise and Avatar 2. Not much to compete with. Oh, is it... Okay, Avatar 2. It's competing with itself. Because we're talking about Disney.
Drak Gryffindor.
That's just Disney competing against Disney. And it's yet one more failure amongst many this year. And if it didn't fail, then why did they replace Paycheck? Because they fired him. Overnight. They didn't have the courtesy to wake him up. They fired him and put Iger back in that position. That's not a company that's doing well. Besides, so many of its audience weren't allowed to go and see Wakanda Forever in the first week. So, already it was not going to do well. I told you about that, didn't I?
What?
Apparently white people weren't allowed to go see Wakanda Forever in its opening weekend.
Really?
Nope.
Why?
Opening weekend was for the black people.
Oh.
Because that makes sense, right?
Someone has been casting spells of the dark arts, Harry.
180 million, huh?
I must say, the exit to the dungeons is blocked by a horrendous set of curses. Dark arts magic, I'm sure.
That's not true.
There are 4 curses and each must be dispelled before the door will unlock. The actual curses are hidden around the dungeon. Once found, use your knockback jinx to dispel them.
Where is it? So 180 million, right? Avatar 1, 2.9 billion. Avengers Endgame, 2.7 billion. The Force Awakens, 2 billion. Oh, I missed Titanic, 2.1 billion. Force Awakens, 2 billion. Infinity War, 2 billion. No Way Home, 1.9 billion. Jurassic World, 1.6 billion. I believe this is the live-action Lion King, 1.6 billion. The Avengers, 1.5 billion. Furious 7, 1.5 billion. Top Gun Maverick, the first one that comes up from 2022, 1.4 billion.
Okay, you don't need to be...
Frozen 2, 1.4 billion. Avengers Age of Ultron, 1.4 billion. Black Panther, the first one, 1.3 billion. Deathly Hallows Part 2, 1.3 billion. Way above 180 million. And here's the other thing that really hurts on that. You remember that Avengers Endgame number I spouted? 2.7 billion? That's what Disney was promising to its shareholders for everything that came out this year. So let's go do our homework, shall we? Buzz Lightyear earnings. Domestic earnings, 118 million. Worldwide, let's be optimistic, 218 million. That's way below 2.7 billion. That might be good numbers for this current movie theaters, but that's not what was being promised. Now let's do top grossing movies of 2022. Let's put it up against its compatriots. Now, granted, Wakanda Forever is number 2 on this list. And its overall 2022 gross is actually $418 million. But Top Gun Maverick beat it by about $300 million. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness also made $400 million. Still shy of that $2.7 billion. Jurassic World Dominion is $100 million less than that. That's not good for Universal. That's what I'm saying. Even Sonic the Hedgehog 2 only made $190 million in 2022. Granted, things have changed in the movie theater industry in the last 2 years. But what I'm trying to point out, and I promise I'm not just yelling at you to yell at you, Isagi, but I am pointing this simple concept out. That's not what was promised to Disney's shareholders. They were promised endgame after endgame after endgame. And all of their Marvel movies, all the big ones, some of them have had very big showings, but not endgame numbers. Hence why the shareholders had no problem voting out Paycheck. And Avatar 2 is not doing much better. Actually, let's see where Avatar 2 is right now. What is it called? The Way of Water?
Something like that.
Let's see.
Flipendo. Flipendo.
I just lost interest after Endgame. I've seen a few and that have been impressed, so I stopped.
And haven't been impressed.
Oh.
Really quick, let me see if I can get the numbers here. Opening weekend for Way of Water. Looks like overall it brought in 300 million. Nope. Global tally is 435 million. Already beating Wakanda. So, like, that's better for them. I still really like the MCU. For me, I'm finding it very interesting still. I'm glad that you are. I'm glad, like, contrary to what it actually looks like, Usagi, I would feel bad if you were going to a movie theater and paying however much you're paying wherever you're living and not liking what you're seeing. That would suck. I've done that before. I hate it. I can tell you right here and now, I've seen every single Phase 4 trailer, and not really any of them have made me want to go to the theater. So at that point, I have no problem waiting to see them from the comfort of my own couch with my wife. That's just the way it goes. Because I'm kind of in Bobby's corner where, like, after Endgame, I was done. I'm like, that wraps things up nice into a nice little bow. I can go do my own thing. And I've watched all the trailers, and nothing has made me want to go see it. I'm excited to see The Whale, though. Okay, I know that that's referring to something, Bobby, but I'm not sure what.
I mean, I'll probably still see some of the MCU stuff.
Yeah, but we're going to see it at home.
I know, but just, for my own entertainment.
I don't have a problem with that because I'm already paying for the Disney Plus subscription. So I'm more okay with that than as opposed to paying for movie tickets to movies that I know I'm not going to enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
If there was any movie that I regret not watching in a theater in the last few years, it was Godzilla vs. Kong. Because that was a popcorn flick. That I wanted to see on a big screen. But that was it. And no, I have no interest in seeing Jurassic Park. I'm sorry, Dino Crisis 2, the movie. So at that point, yeah, I'm glad that you got. I'm glad that you got something out of it. That's great. Me, no. I've actually been enjoying watching some other things in the meantime. Maybe catching up on stuff that I just haven't been able to watch yet.
Flipendo.
I died.
Wow, child violence
I know.
on screen. What is this, Japanese TV?
Japanese TV.
Well, I mean, when we were watching Sentai, it was kind of surprising what they were able to get away with. I still think it was way out there when they actually were like, what was it? They were showing like puppets holding guns and firing them. Like, wow, you'd never get away with that on Sesame Street. And nonetheless, Pretty Usagi, I'm happy you're here. I'm just saying in that regard, like, the downside there is that Disney made a lot of promises that they couldn't keep. And ultimately were ill-advised because the economy was changing in front of them, and they weren't willing enough to acknowledge it. I already know that their Disney Plus numbers are also suffering a little bit because all the things, all of the major ventures that aren't movies have been brought to Disney Plus, and they've not really been able to up subscription numbers that much. So that's hurting them in the long run.
The pandemic didn't help much, and then politics are getting involved.
Well, that was Disney's major flaw, is that they got involved in politics, and they should not have done that. It also doesn't help that, and actors really need to stop doing this. They need to stop alienating their potential customers. Okay? I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You're an actor. Your job is to put butts in seats. Your job is to get people to go to the movie theater, to go to the game store, to go to the TV, to watch what you're working on. And when you call out the fan base or the customer base and say, well, if you don't like my stuff, you're this, that, or the other, there's never a coincidence of that where you're earning money. You will always lose money in that regard. And frankly, I actually kind of wish that some of these big companies like Disney would hold these actors and actresses accountable. Now, big props to Netflix, because they're the one example that I can think of that did it, where Daniela Pineda was making a total ass of herself on, what was it, Instagram? And they shut that down quick. Yeah, they came out with their own Twitter and defended a lot of that stuff, but they made sure that they basically made sure to zip her lip very tightly. Because they knew that wasn't helping them sell Cowboy Bebop. And it's getting to a point where I honestly think the companies need to start doing that more. It's funny to me that some YouTubers or Twitch streamers pull more views than some of the most recent movies or shows. Yeah. You know you're not going in the right direction when PewDiePie can pull better numbers than your movie. Just saying. Or, I don't think Ninja's a popular Fortnite streamer anymore. I think he's moved on to other stuff. But like a popular Fortnite streamer can pull gangbuster numbers. And he's just one guy. Some of these shows have hundreds, if not thousands, of people working on them. Hell, most of the detractors of a lot of these shows pull better audiences than the show themselves. See, a good marketing tactic in that regard would be to work with those people and immediately bring them on. Not to just say your shit smells great, but also but more like listen to them and say, yeah, if you're going to do a Lord of the Rings series, you really do need to be accurate to Tolkien. You really do need to buy the rights, Amazon. You're a billion-dollar company. Am I wrong?
No.
No. If you got the money, you should do it. And maybe if you bring on these detractors and they help you out and you make a successful product, it's a win-win for both of you. Because they get to advertise for you, and they may ask for like a little bit of a fee for advertising for you, but in the long run, that's going to be chump change compared to what you're going to earn.
It's like, how hard is it?
Well, it's basic economics. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're spending more than you're making, how's that going to end, Andrea?
Poorly.
You're going to run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's basic common sense. And yet, film it, like the Hollywood, the gaming industry, they're all doing that. They're all spending way too much on properties that are failing. And what I mean by failing is they are not putting those companies back in the black. They are, in fact, earning way less. And probably shouldn't have had those budgets to begin with. I can already tell you, just from clips that I've seen, Rings of Power did not deserve a $1 billion budget. And if I were Bezos or whoever is in charge of that, I would be auditing that shit post-haste. Because I'm guaranteeing you, more of that money went towards expensive dinners than it did to the actual task at hand. And at that point, I'd probably be looking at those people and going, yeah, you're going to need to pay this back. Just saying, you're going to need to pay this back. There's a reason why BioWare right now is in the shitter with EA. Because Anthem was a disaster. A half-made disaster. And so now, EA, I can guarantee you, behind the scenes, is making bank, or is banking on the next Dragon Age being the shit that gets people back into BioWare again. And if it doesn't, I'm guaranteeing you, BioWare will cease to exist. Because Mass Effect Andromeda was strike 1. Anthem is strike 2. Next Dragon Age, that might be strike 3, and they'll be out. Which is sad, because I like BioWare. I actually don't want game companies to fail. I just want them to learn from their mistakes. Because when they learn from their mistakes, we all benefit. They benefit because they get to earn money. We as fans and consumers benefit because we get a good product. Now, Andrea, what have I told you about touching the flamboyant turtle? I shouldn't have used flamboyant. I should have gone with flammable.
Flamboyant.
It was fabulous!
Because
I have fire coming out of my back. I'm fabulous! Self-important people don't make mistakes to learn from. Well, but see, the first part of your sentence, Bobby, is where the problem exists. Is, are you really that important? Or do you just think you are? As much as I don't like some things that James Cameron does, at least one thing I can give him credit for is that James Cameron understands what he's actually worth. And doesn't try to overplay it. Like, what's her bucket who wrote She-Hulk? Which, by the way, is canceled. And good luck getting a job with anybody else. Actually, I shouldn't say that because you're probably going to get a job with somebody else. Or with somebody else, probably Disney, and it's going to be something stupid. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought her in to rewrite Guardians Volume 3. James Cameron helped pitch the script for Alita 2. That's what I'm ready for. Well, but he also he also made sure that Alita went into the right hands. Because if I remember Romney saying this, he made sure that Robert Rodriguez was an Alita fan before handing things over. So, and I think he even showed it to him. So at that point, yeah, he understands his own worth. That's becoming a foreign concept in modern day Hollywood. It's becoming a foreign concept in the gaming industry. It's a good thing to be proud of what you work on, but you have to balance that with humility. And that's where the problem is. Do we think people like Jennifer Lawrence are being are showing humility right now? What?
I'm just fun.
Yes, Andrea's getting mad that I'm ranting.
Drak loves to rant.
I don't necessarily, but it does make me wonder about making like a video series of like what is actually going wrong and what, for example, like what writers need to be doing to be able to A, get better, and B, be able to be successful in my perception. Am I a successful writer? No, but all I'm spouting is common sense. And common sense has worked for me so far. In fact, one of the things that I'd actually write about is that this is my personal perception, and I have really no evidence to back it up because I'm not really a big follower of the community. But I actually do think that things like fan fiction have hurt writing as a whole, and not because of the reason that you think. I think that fan fictions and things like that have actually encouraged a sense of stagnation when it comes to developing as a writer. because it's so much easier to just write a fanfic of your favorite video game or book character getting into a sexual encounter with somebody else. And of course, everybody's going to enjoy a sexual encounter, right? Because sex sells. But it doesn't ever encourage you to learn from your mistakes. And also, it doesn't encourage them to go and branch out from that.
Some fan fiction is fantastic.
Yes, it is. But those people don't move from fan fiction.
Well, fan fiction is fine, but sometimes you just have to come to the realization that...
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with fan fiction. Fan fiction is actually a really great way to get into writing, because then at that point, you don't have to worry about stupid shit like copyright, because you're writing your favorite characters, right? So you're writing the secret meeting, and I'm not just talking sexual encounters. You have actually some really great Elseworld stories that are being told in fan fiction. But what I'm saying, the problem is that step 2 from that in a writing sphere would be to then branch out from that, take aspects of the characters that you love, and try and create your own. And create your own universe, like Stan Lee has done, like Tolkien did, like Lewis did. And put that out for the world to see. And, by the way, have it fail a little bit. Because nobody's perfect when they start out in this stuff. And criticism is a good thing. But a lot of the fan fiction writers, I've noticed, like the same, like in the stuff that I've read, a lot of the same names continue to show up, and then I see like when they were posted, and we're talking years in this, years in this particular deal, and I just kind of sit there and go, well, haven't they moved on to go make their own stuff? Because they obviously have the chops to be able to go do it, and in a lot of cases, no, they haven't. So that's what I'm saying, is like, it's creating a concept of stagnation that I'm not saying fan fiction needs to fix this, I'm saying writers do. Writers, like, and also their audience needs to encourage them to go out and try. And when they fail, that it's not the end of the world. I'm pretty sure Tolkien went through a dozen rewrites. Not with the publisher, he went through it with himself, but he did that. And there's a reason you do it. Because sometimes a once-over is a good thing. And maybe that's why we don't have a whole lot of really great writers in Hollywood right now, is because a lot of those people have not branched out, have not made their own stuff, have not taken those risks, and therefore gained the natural confidence that comes from that. You get what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, to put it in your context, Andrea, you're a nurse. How'd you feel when you did your first ever injection?
What about
like
it?
Like an IV, like putting a needle into a body. How did that make you feel the first time?
Nerve-wracking? I don't know.
Okay. How'd you feel about it the second time?
Probably much better.
Third time? It got better over time, right?
Yeah, but
But
I haven't...
what's one of the reasons that it did? Because you had to take the risk.
Oh, yeah.
You had to take the gamble, and if you did it wrong, then you got taught right? Mm-hmm. So at that point, you got that criticism, you accepted it, and you learned from it. A lot of people these days aren't doing that.
Oh, did I hear?
Yeah, I think
Melody.
one of the little ones is being stubborn. Doesn't want to go to bed. Maybe I'll give people a
Well
minute
done.
away
You've
from
got
my
enough
rants,
blue
and
every- Thanks,
I'll go
Harry.
check the kids.
Watch out for Snape, Harry. He's shot.
It's the mailbell. Oh, I'm just not looking forward to Christmas. Gonna be just a busy week. I love it when people criticize my stuff. Finding someone who cares enough to offer help and wants me to do better is great. Yep. It's always great to have constructive criticism. It helps you learn and grow and make you a better writer or whatever you're pursuing. That is.
Sorry, our kids were winding down. So I'm just helping them along. I love when people criticize my stuff. Finding someone who cares enough to offer help and wants me to do better is great. Which is exactly how you should look at that, Bobby. Unfortunately, you're the exception, not the rule. The rule is that nobody can take criticism. If you criticize my stuff, you are whatever-ist I can come up with. Especially in the concept of Hollywood. Or in modern-day comics today. Are good examples of this. If you can't take constructive criticism, how are you supposed to get better?
Well done, young Griffin.
Because also good writers will be able to tell what's constructive and what isn't. Because I'm pretty sure, Andrea, you've never written that, or you haven't written that much in your life. But if you wrote something and then somebody tells you to just go kill yourself, are you going to take that as legitimate criticism?
Probably.
You really would? Or are you being sarcastic?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. That's what I thought. And I'm speaking from experience, by the way. Like, I used to be one of those people. But growing up helped me to realize that, oh yeah, constructive criticism actually helps. It helps us get better, not just in writing, our profession, or whatever. It helps you out in life overall. That's advice, not criticism. Oh, well, that's not what I meant. What I meant was basically saying, like, being able to discern actual criticism, like constructive criticism, from people just being dicks. Like, I've got the perfect example here is I've been doing YouTube for a long time now. And yeah, have I been able to get a whole lot of success out of it? Not really. I've been able to have a wonderful community come around the channel. I'm very happy for it. But I've definitely learned lessons along the way. And I've also taken criticism. Whether or not people want to do, whether people believe that or not, I've taken a lot of the criticism to heart. And I've added it into my creation. I mean, the perfect example is, like, I keep on getting asked this question of, like, when is Geek News Game Night coming out? You keep on saying it's coming. Because I want it to be the best that it can be. I'm going for quality, not quantity. And yes, once it gets there, I'm not going to be like Blizzard, where it's like, it'll be done when it's done. How's the stream going? It's going good, even though I'm ranting at people. I just want to give people what I can give them. Yay, Drak rants, yes. In fact, one of the things that's actually been very irritating because of our schedule is I actually was able to get a little bit of a YouTube wave by doing the GNRO minicasts. People really liked that. I saw a lot of views in the weekend that I did it, and a lot of subs for when I did it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it.
Come to sample the rare delights of the upper
I'm
castle.
sure some people immediately thought I gave up on it. It's not that. I had gotten a job at that point, and I had to prioritize it.
Red every flavor beans, chili powder.
But the funniest thing is, I've actually been working in the background to be able to do something a little bit more stable and be able to do the mini cast, but maybe not as many as I did that weekend, and maybe kind of narrow down the field of what I want to talk about. So at that point, like, that's coming back starting next year. I'm just going to do it differently. Probably less stories so that I can still, be able to go to sleep at the end of the day. And also be able to work on some other things like Geek News Game Night. And like I said, I want to try and do a video series about... It's one thing to just sit there and say, this is what Hollywood's doing wrong. It's another thing entirely to say, well, here's maybe what you should consider doing to fix it. And I'd much rather do that. Anybody can be negative on the internet. We all know that. I'd like to be able to say, okay, yes, you are doing all these negative things, and it's not helping you. But let's work on fixing it. Because that's kind of who I am, right? I want to fix it.
We're about to start the
Who needs sleep? Well, Bobby, I had that thought many years ago. And I learned the hard way that, yes, in fact, sleep is needed.
the most complex and dangerous magic.
And now now Bobby's going to be contemplating whether or not I was on meth.
Let's make more Taco Bell Sims.
You have been
Well, that's up to you, Rising Sun.
Watch my wand move around the screen and press the
I'll write for you. How's that sound, Rising Sun?
Sequence 3 times to learn the transfiguration.
I've never written for a dating sim. In fact, most of my stuff is not even, like, a lot of the writing I've ever done has never been romantically related. But, that'll be an interesting thing to test out my chops, wouldn't it?
Excellent.
To see if I can write something that doesn't sound like porn. I have ideas already. Well, I know you do. Oh, jeez.
Good.
McGonagall, stretch that face out, please. Oh, God, you need a Botox injection really bad.
Don't make me laugh.
Quick, everybody make her laugh. I'm taking the week off between Christmas and New Year's, so... Oh, nice!
Keep trying.
I wish I could.
That's good.
So do I.
Excellent.
You want to know what I'd actually like to do, Rising Sun? I'd like to be able to do another one of our stream discussions and all that.
Very well.
Andrea, hit Drak with Nutter Butters for making you laugh. Well, we have no Nutter Butters, so she can't do that. I keep on forgetting to go get Nutter Butters. Damn it.
Shame on you.
The problem is like our local Walmart, the only Nutter Butters they had was like the wafer ones, and the wafer ones aren't that great. I mean, you always have the option to take weeks off. There's just the thing of that you might not have a job afterwards. yes. What do you think about that? I need you to continue to do this, Rising Sun, because you're throwing her off. She's getting mad at us too. She's like, I'm trying to do this.
I'm trying to finish this.
Seriously, McGonagall needs a Botox injection.
Now let's put the spell into practice. Harry Potter, follow me, please.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, that's actually another thing I'd miss doing is like a stream discussion with you, Rising Sun, because we actually had a couple of interesting points that we could get into.
Let's see if you can transform this statue, and perhaps you'll find a way to reach the doorway at the top of the room.
My boss had a saying that we showed up by choice. He may not like the choice I'm about to make, but that's another topic. Well, just don't get yourself in trouble, Rising Sun. That's the only thing that I request. Don't get yourself in trouble. No, what Andrea is talking about is like our next vacation, which isn't really a vacation, is going to be what, a 4-day weekend?
Pretty much.
In late January. So we'll be able to get some rest done in there.
Rest.
I'm saving that list until I can fully make that choice.
Slytherin.
Well, by rest I mean we're gonna be No, we're not house sitting, but we're gonna go make sure the dog gets out.
Gryffindor.
Right?
Well, unless Alex is around.
That's
Slytherin are in the lead.
that's why
on
they
house
wanted us
points.
to have it off, right?
The race for the house cup is heating
Oh,
up.
to have it off?
Yeah.
Well, no, because if we're both working,
Oh yeah, that's
the
true.
kids
Because they
won't have-
can't
they
can't
can't
babysit.
babysit.
So playing with dogs can be relaxing. Yes. Not her dog. I like their dog, but their dog does not understand the concept of escalation very well, and so they escalate very quickly into not just play, but also maiming. And Andrea knows this too. There you go. You made one polygon into another.
hooray.
I mean, Bella is a social dog, but is also kind of... the best way I know how to explain it is Bella is a socially awkward dog.
You always think everything is a socially awkward something.
Well, what I'm saying is that she has difficulty playing softly.
It's Sober Potty Potter. I've got your parcel, Potter. Want it back, do we? Let's have a taste.
She's getting a little bit better of an understanding because she has to deal with kids
Or
now.
might not. Let's just see, shall we? Off we go then.
Which I can't remember. Have they fed the dog? Have they fed Bella? Have they fed her? Like have they tried to ingratiate themselves to her? Our girls.
Our girls fed the dog?
Yeah, like have they done anything to make Bella like them?
Well, I'm sure Bella has tried to take food from... Well, Arya probably gave some food to the dog.
Probably she did. She probably did. But
She probably took food from Melody, even though Melody...
Well, Melody took food from Bella, so...
I'm sure.
Kids have to learn, people. Kids have to learn. And the lesson that my daughter had to learn was that dog food is for dogs. But that's what I'm saying is like, yeah, I think Bella, like, because Bella doesn't play with them. But they don't play with her. So a lesson we all must learn at some point. Yes, dog food is for dogs. It's a good thing this isn't Zelda and you're not losing a heart every time you do that.
No, but I lose health every time.
Oh, so it is like Zelda.
Well done, Harry. You collected all 10 Bertie Bott's beans. Have this famous witches and
It's...
Which reminds me, I want pie in anime. You always want animus. Rising Sun, come on. Well, I mean, back to my original point. you know that anime is doing well in the writing department if Rising Sun's over there. And so many other people are in the anime pocket right now. Yeah, there are actually a bunch of things that I'd like to be able to go watch, but I'm not going to be able to get into anything new until probably next year. Why? Because I can't take anything on new right now. My brain can't take it. I can't process anything. That's why I'm watching a bunch of retro stuff. Not sure if I'd call this anime well written, but it's fun. Well, it's written well enough that you're enjoying it. It's not let me put it this way. Is it talking down to you, Rising Sun? That's kind of the problem with modern writing now, is that unfortunately writers aren't writers. Writers are activists. They want to constantly tell us what we're doing wrong. And that we have to be better, but are not willing to tell us, like, what to do to be better, which is usually just subscribe to my beliefs and my dogmas.
We start here. You must run across the roof beams. I've covered some of them in slip.
You know, this playing this way has actually made me appreciate the Peeves model. Because PlayStation couldn't model that very well.
I miss the control schemes of it, any, later games generation.
Well, because cameras were a problem. There's something I appreciate about anime. There are some really cool stories that take a look at society in different ways.
Okay.
Yes. Because anime as a medium is able to do that. I would argue that a lot of U.S. television in years past was able to do something like that too. You can't really do that now. Even when it seems super cliche at first, that's the point, and it's able to do something very unique. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the longest time in U.S. TV, you couldn't tackle something like sci-fi without being something resembling Star Wars, Star Trek, things like that. But we used to have a lot of like really good sci-fi IPs out there. And now we haven't had an original IP idea for sci-fi in a long time. That's why I like sci-fi anime. Sci-fi anime was able to take like the next step that US TV wasn't able to do. Because US TV was basically, oh, you got to be like Star Trek. Because Star Trek is what brought people to TV. But I would argue that, because of that, like, Star Trek is great, but we also had great sci-fi series like Babylon 5 that happened that don't get enough credit. And a lot of the reason that Babylon 5, in my opinion, is better is because it wasn't doing what Star Trek at the time was doing. It wasn't trying to preach. It wasn't trying to pose a super optimistic future. It was trying to be as real as it could be, while also teaching important lessons in the process. In fact, one of the things I love about Babylon 5 is that when they had Prelude... there are a couple of episodes that had Prelude to War, and they mirrored the incident of Archduke Ferdinand in World War I. To without spoiling it, it basically mirrored the circumstances involving the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, which triggered World War I. And so at that point, it actually was very interesting to be able to see that unfold in a modern kind of context, or futuristic kind of context. And in my opinion, anime was able to take sci-fi in a completely different direction because it wasn't super optimistic. At that point, the only super pessimistic future view in American media was probably Alien. And the perception of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and all that. But then you had anime like Cowboy Bebop that was able to show like a hyper-pessimistic kind of view of the world. Gundam still kind of does that while also being an anti-war message. and also, what makes Gundam work better than preachy modern-day Star Trek? Because it doesn't preach anti-war, it just shows what war can do. I like Star Trek, but I feel like it's very limited if that's your only influence. Yeah! And sometimes I want to step outside the box, if that makes sense. Hence why I like Babylon 5, why I like Battlestar Galactica. I like a lot of sci-fi series, and a lot of them are anime. I like Outlaw Star because Outlaw Star, while being pessimistic, also tries to be optimistic. Tries. Doesn't completely do it, but tries. One anime I've really enjoyed lately is called Love Flops. It's a sci-fi sort of built on anime cliches, but has a lot to say about society and technology. Cool. I'd actually probably watch that. Because that reminds me of ultimately why I like the irresponsible Captain Tyler, which was introduced to me by Alex and Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Because Captain Tyler is basically a anime take on MASH.
If you get to the end.
And what I mean by that is, like, in MASH, the military is always shown to be just uber idiots. And that's what Captain Tyler does with the military. Like, the space military. They're all stupid idiots. And it just so happens to be that the one idiot that's running the ship is probably the one that's probably got his head on straight the most.
The one who actually...
Anime and MASH together would be really interesting. Yeah, I would actually recommend The Irresponsible Captain Tyler to you. It's... Now, Alex has a different take on it. He just likes that it's hilarious, I think. But you'd have to ask him. But that's ultimately what I took away from it, is that there is so much emphasis on not necessarily that that Captain Tyler is not deserving of the role that he has and is a knucklehead beyond any kind of reproach, but that the military is probably even more screwed up than he is. I grew up watching MASH with my uncle. Oh, cool. I actually watched MASH in my 20s. And it's actually one of the few series that I have all the seasons on DVD. Because I love MASH that much. There's actually a lot of really good lessons that can be learned from MASH.
Yeah, and it's funny that on our last vacation you guys are just watching MASH. Like,
well, we were doing it for a reason.
well, yeah.
Because Burt Reynolds passed away. I know, your mom got mad at us for doing that this year like we did with The Simpsons last year. But that's just what me and Alex do, is like we watch stuff that we love and we show our appreciation that way. I promise. I'll make it up to your mom and we'll diverse things up next time we're in St. George.
Next time, what will be the next, like...
I don't know. Think she'd let us get away with Power Rangers? No, I'd probably, pick something else out that wouldn't drive her crazy and probably put on more movies. Because I think that was one of her big problems. She wanted more movies than TV series.
I'm pretty sure.
Drak has good vacation ideas. Well, thank you, Rising Sun. I appreciate that. Like, that is a vacation to me. That's fun to me. Like, a lot of people... I get criticism for this a lot, especially with my own sisters and in my dating of Andrea, because I never took her out on fancy dinners. I never bought really expensive flowers. I never did the typical wooing stuff. a date for me and Andrea was just going to the movies. Because that's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoyed doing, and that's what Andrea enjoyed doing.
Your father left this invisibility cloak in my possession before he died.
Hell, there were a lot of times where a date for us was me going over to her place and watching VHS tapes of Pokemon. Because I wasn't watching it at the time, and she was catching, like, really fun or like, stupid episodes kind of thing. Like, stupidly funny is what I mean. And so we would go over there, and then she would show me the episodes.
Oh, yeah.
So, and if you enjoy the time together, then that's great. Exactly. I mean, we now go out to dinner, and that's fun, and we don't have a problem doing that, but I will once again point out, we also play games together. We also watch movies together. We watch TV series together. That's what we want to do. That's what we find fun. If what you find fun in your relationship is going and climbing a mountain, good on you. Go enjoy that. I'm not a mountain climber. I'm a guy who likes sitting on the couch and enjoying movies with family and friends. That's always who I've been. Even though my sisters will say that that's not how I should have done it at all. I should have much more treated her like a lady and properly courted her. But, well, as Andrea said numerous times, she's not. She's not your like every other woman.
There are things in the forbidden corridor that are not for the eyes of mere boys like you.
Things like clothes and makeup mean very little to you.
No students are to enter this corridor.
And jewelry.
And don't go trying a secret passage. Mrs. Norris.
Yeah, I can't see any date with me involving climbing a mountain.
Expelled for wasting our time.
Okay, Filch, your face looks like poop. I'm just saying. Give Andrea Nutter Butters and she's happy. Yes, actually, you're not far off. Yeah. If I bought like a big pack of Nutter Butters and then said like, let's do a Harry Potter marathon, I mean, yeah, you wouldn't refuse. You wouldn't refuse that. You'd be pissed that you had to go to work the next day, but
oh yeah,
that's probably the one thing that would piss you off.
Oh yeah.
Because I still occasionally get like that weird... I've even gotten that weird look from my nieces like, how on earth did you get married when I never did any of this stuff? I never bought her jewelry. I never bought her flowers. I never took her out to dinner. I never did any of that stuff. Okay, time for pie and anime. Have a good night. You too, Rising Sun. Enjoy your animus.
Enjoy the animus there.
Yep. In fact, what's really funny is like my older brother and he likes being married to who he's married to. He appreciates her and all that. But there's been a couple of times where he's actually said to me like, man, it would be cool if I could like actively play games with her. And he can. It's just not all the time. She's not that into games. But Andrea is.
Yep, bad.
Oh, Arya's having issues.
Professor Snape.
Oh, really?
You said to alert you.
Well, she's singing, isn't she?
Sneaking around in the
Well, she's saying octagon.
Oh, okay.
Well, Mrs. Norris
She
and
loves
I
to say
suspect that one of the
octagon.
students may be trying to sneak past us.
I like all the different directions it can go. Growing up, there were so many sitcoms that were just copy-paste family drama. I completely missed this. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm guessing you're talking about writing. Yeah, there were a lot of sitcoms back in the 90s. So much so that it's kind of why I'm not a fan of sitcoms.
Can we, Mr. Filch?
I know that some people will get mad at me for saying this, but
extra vigilant, watching out for intruders.
I wasn't actively watching Full House. I wasn't actively watching Family Matters. Or is Family Matters the one with Urkel?
I think so.
I think that was Family Matters.
Family
or
sucks.
Growing Pains or Boy Meets World. I wasn't really interested in the drama stuff. I was interested in going to other worlds.
Going to other worlds?
Yeah. I've always been a guy who appreciates escapism because real life to me is, well, not as exciting.
You're already living that already. Why not?
I do that every day. Do you want to know what I don't do every day? Go fly a dragon. That's why it's more interesting to me. Or, what you want to know what I don't do every day? Go into a starship and boldly go where no man has gone before. Some might argue that I appreciate escapism way too much, so much so that I want to literally escape from real life. I'd argue that's not true, because I actually do take care of real life matters, and I've actually enjoyed being a father. So, but at the end of the day, it's fun to imagine what could be. Andrea wishes she could live in a world with Pokemon, right? Because that would be fun. It's the same thing for me. Like, I wish I lived in a world where dragons existed, and heroes are just plain heroes. Like, they don't need to have a motivation to be a hero. Their motivation is just because they want to be a good person. It's one of the reasons why I keep on saying if Hollywood makes The Legend of Zelda a movie, it will fail because it will not be The Legend of Zelda.
Because they'll make Link talk.
Well, that too. But they'll also make Link into some emo anti-hero. And that's not who Link is. Like, you've played enough of Zelda to know this now, Andrea.
Yeah.
What kind of character is Link? He's basically the Arthurian archetype. Mm-hmm. Where he's a person who lives a simple life, who has great circumstance thrust upon him, and now he must protect that which he values. Mm-hmm. Like, Link never wanted to be the hero of time, but what does Link want to do? He wants to save his friends.
Yep.
That's always who Link has ever been. Hollywood would make Link into some weepy anti-hero with a tragic backstory that Link has never been, and frankly, Link doesn't need to be. It's just like when they tried to make Maleficent relatable. Except I would argue that sometimes good is just good, and sometimes evil is just evil. Like, I agree that real life can be, there can be tons of gray matter. I agree, completely. But there also can be a straight black and white in that regard. There can be a straight good and evil, along with truckloads of gray that you can then throw in there and see how a character like Link would handle said truckloads of gray. I'm trying to think where we're at in the story. Is this where we meet Fluffy?
I think that would be.
Yeah, so this is the Mirror of Erised. So. Mm-hmm. Dumbledore, can you hear me? Sorry, I had to do it at least once. Uh-oh, time skip.
Reflected in the Mirror of Erised were Harry's parents, James and Lily Potter. Harry stared hungrily back as though hoping to fall right through the glass and reach them. He was startled when a voice sounded behind him.
Harry turned slowly about. So you, like hundreds before you, have discovered the delights of the Mirror of Erised, said Professor Dumbledore. He went on to explain that the mirror showed nothing more or nothing less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts, but that it would give neither knowledge nor truth. The Mirror of Erised will be moved to a new home shortly.
See, some of these animations are actually pretty good.
Ominously that if Harry ever came across it again, he would be prepared. But prepared for what? Thought Harry.
Prepare to
prepare to get voted out because you're sus. Sorry.
It's cornered Hermione in the girls' bathroom.
There we go. And I think this is technically the halfway point of the game.
Oh yes.
Come on, Harry. We have to get moving.
What if we don't wanna? We actually probably better wrap things up because we're getting close to 10 o'clock.
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can find. Oh, of course.
If we go in here, like, isn't it a dungeon? So no.
See if there's a book nearby.
Oh, there is. Yeah, let's go ahead and save. And this was a good amount of progress.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're officially 59. Bring that back up, just really quick. We're officially 59% through the story.
Well, that you never know if that's just.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that, but we'll go ahead and call it there. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight as we return to streaming. In the future, all I can guarantee is that Sunday night streams and Monday night streams will work. Saturday will not work until after the new year, so no Drak and Shout Alive until then. And hopefully, probably not this week, but in future weeks, we'll also be able to make a Tuesday night stream work too.
We just have to get through the busy holidays.
We do. And like I did say, in January, we will be doing the sequel thing. So you guys can look forward to that. In the meantime, have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. Happy holidays. And we'll see you, presumably, after... actually, Sunday would be Christmas Day. So I guess we would be doing it that day, too. So we'll see you guys on Christmas, I guess.